Heaven oh everyone, it's that scary woman on the doorstep again. This is the second video I've made today. I made the first one just after 8 AM when I got back from Dean's because I had the most incredible download overnight, which is that often happens when I'm staying at his farm. So if you have not watched the video before this one, which is called A Storm is Brewing, please watch that video. It's a very, very important message. But I thought I would come out here to Cressbrook because I've got to go to Buxton to get some water, and I usually come here to Cressbrook en route and I walk Kobe. And it's a very rainy, it's a lot of rain this week, although there is some blue sky behind me, can you see? So maybe this rain won't last for long. But I have one thing to say to you, Cressbrook, fellow Cressbrook community people. I only have one thing to say to you, and that is, look, no mud. Because it's almost a year since I first walked this land, January 2022, when we discovered that Stanton Estate had this land. It wasn't on the market, and they were looking for a good home for it, and so we heard about it. And when I first walked this land, there were cattle on it. There was a little herd of cattle, I think probably about 6 cattle, maybe less. And literally the whole of this plateau was completely a swamp of mud. All of it. It was like welly boots. You could not walk this without welly boots on. And look at it 1 year later. Look at that. Absolutely not a swamp of mud. So I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people said, oh, it goes muddy every winter. Yeah, that's just normal. No, it's not. I know my partner Dean, he is a cow farmer, and one of the big parts of his job is not just to look after the cows, but it's to look after the fields and the grass, because basically they are the harvest for the winter. So he has to look after the fields to make sure that the cows are sort of rotated from field to field, and so that the grass grows. And the thing is, if you leave your cows out over the winter from, sort of November through to April time, what happens is they just churn the land to mud, and it's not good, basically. So you can see that there's no mud. The only mud really is along the footpath where the human animals, the human hooves have trampled it. So it's been an interesting weekend. I mean, I've kind of lost count of the number of labels that have been put on me by people in the system. I've added a few to the list this weekend. Zealot is a new one. Obviously anti-vaxxer. Well, we all knew about that one. Well, I mean, anti-vaxxer is a bit of a misnomer, actually, because actually I've had a lot of vaccinations in my life, and I've taken my children for their MMR and things, kind of probably before I knew better. But one thing we have to realise about the, I won't say the name, is that it's not a vaccination in the true sense of the word. It is new mRNA technology, which is experimental, i.e. not fully tested, and it works in a completely different way to anything that you may have thought of previously as a vaccination. So we're dealing with highly experimental new therapy, which is still in its trial stages, and there is masses of data and masses of research, even provided by our own government, on the yellow card incidents. So if you go to the MHRA and you look at their yellow card reporting system, you will see how many millions of reports of adverse reactions there are, and how many deaths have been reported in connection with the you-know-what. So don't take my word for it, because if you consent to the you-know-what, essentially you've kind of given away your rights. So I would be very, very careful to do your research and make sure that if you do decide to have any more of the you-know-what, that you do it with fully informed consent. And then after you've done all that research, if you decide that you want to have it, then fair enough. That's your choice. We have free will. But what is very key is fully informed consent. And that was the essence of the Nuremberg Code, which was created after World War II, after Dr. Mengele did all of his medical experiments on prisoners. And the Nuremberg Code very specifically stated that all medical experiments had to be done with the fully informed consent of the subject. So, of course, if you start to inject children who are not at the point of being able to give consent, they're not Gillick competent, so they're not fully developed or aware enough to be able to give consent, then that is actually a violation of the Nuremberg Code. So, and those people who were found guilty in the Nuremberg trials were of course hung after World War II. So I'm sure I don't need to tell you about history, but maybe look it up, the Nuremberg trials. And I was just following orders was not an excuse in the eyes of that trial. So any doctors and nurses who said, well, I was just following orders, it was not an admissible defence for administering the experimental medical procedures. I'm here, look at this. Isn't this sad that our steps, our beautiful steps, which were so lovingly installed by one of our members who really wanted to do something to help the community, because this last year when I came here, this was a slippery mud slope that was very treacherous to walk. And so one of our members took it upon himself to build these steps out of the goodness of his heart. And they are all being removed bit by bit. And I guess the locals may well claim, oh, we're trying to make it safe, or they were unsafe. But if they have been made unsafe, it's because they've been vandalised. So there's a lot of hatred at the moment. And of course, the whole situation here at Cressbrook, I mean, there has been a small vigilante group who have taken it upon themselves to take the law into their own hands. And there's been quite a lot of theft and criminal damage and intimidation and bullying. But that has now escalated into hate crimes against me personally, as we've seen this weekend. So there's now a sixth crime report, crime reference with Derbyshire Police. And because we are repeat victims now, they have put an officer on the case. So I am due to do a formal statement at some point this week. Let me just get across the Cressbrook here. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Look how fast this water's flowing. Beautiful. So much rain. It's another week of rain that we have ahead of us. The reason why the police could not take any action before now is because we didn't have any evidence. So they basically said to us, build your evidence. So the good thing is that we do now have evidence, because those behind the hate campaign have revealed their names publicly in emails, both in press releases and to private emails which constitute defamation of my character. So we are getting to the point now where, you know, this has to stop, Cressbrook people, because we do have rights. I know you are constantly talking about your rights, and you do have a right to walk the land that we have acquired. You do have a right to walk it on the public footpaths, and there are areas of grassland which are countryside right of way, which we are honouring and respecting. but that does not cover, that only covers a very small proportion of the 73 acres which we've acquired. So you do not have the right to trespass on our land anything beyond the grassland, which is to the right of the footpath which I just walked through, which is just the grassland, none of the woodland. You do not have the right to go into the woods or into the copse. And you certainly do not have the right to touch our property, damage our property, steal our property, and you are essentially committing criminal offences in doing so. And there is willful intent as well now. This is very, very definitely a hate campaign, and it's a hate campaign which is focused on me, even though I'm one of many co-owners. Just to say, our community does not have a leader. We are a sociocracy. We have a completely flat structure. Everyone who is a co-owner, they all own the whole of the freehold. They have a right to be on the whole of the land. We're not selling parcels of land. We basically jointly own the whole of the 73 acres together. So any of our owners have the right to be on the land, to do as they wish within their common law rights and respecting the ethos of our community, because all of the members basically agreed to an ethos which is based on Charles Eisenstein, and it's a very beautiful ethos of living in harmony with nature. So I just wanted to kind of put the record straight. And it's quite interesting actually, because everyone went into this project on the basis that we were acquiring this land in perpetuity for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, for their grandchildren. So in perpetuity means forever. So when we came together to pool our resources to acquire this land, it was not as an investment. It was not with the idea of let's make a quick buck and sell it 5 minutes later and make a profit. It was on the basis of in perpetuity, which means forever. And so it's quite interesting because the Cressbrook locals on the one hand are saying that Cressbrook Dale is the crown jewel of the Peak District, which I would agree with. And as we know, the crown jewels are priceless. But then in another breath, the Cressbrook locals are saying, oh, you've been cheated out of your money. You'll never recover your investment, But if you put money into something in perpetuity, which means forever, it's not with the intention of selling it anytime soon, right? So, hold on. Kobe's just done a shit, rather appropriately, as I'm talking about. So I'm talking about the shit that's being said about us. Let me just clear this up. Nice neat little poop there. Hold on, let me put this down. Yeah, it's dealing with a lot of shit. Dealing with a lot of shit right now. But as a mother of 5 and as a dog owner, I'm used to dealing with shit. So it's all part of the game. It's all part of what I signed up for. So wrap it up and take it. Okay, so hopefully, leaf stuck on the camera there. Woo! Okay, let's just have a little look at the brook. As you can see, it's pretty much a full river now. It's the Cressbrook. So we're headed to the source. We're actually in the nature reserve now. Oh look, the sun's coming out. Beautiful, that means there'll probably be a rainbow somewhere up ahead. So let's turn back. Kobe, let's go back. Come on. So of course this brook is running from source. The source of this water is just literally a few hundred yards up there. That's where the Cressbrook dale starts. So of course it's a V shape, so it's like a funnel. It collects all the water and builds up, and then it joins the River Wye. And of course the River Wye, the source of that is the Buxton Spring, and that's where I'm going next to fill up all of our bottles from the Lion's Head in Buxton. And amazing natural living water which has transformed the whole of our household since I started bringing that back, because we used to have a water distiller and the water was just dead. And since we've drunk the natural Buxton spring water, it's just created so much peace and harmony in our household. It's absolutely amazing. And it was quite interesting when I took my boys to see Avatar. When was that? Last Wednesday we went, and I took them to Frankie and Benny's beforehand to get some food, and they all ordered water. Like normally you say, oh yeah, I'll have a Pepsi or a Coke or a beer or something. My sons are 15 years old up to 26. So normally they would order something like that, but they all ordered water. It was absolutely astonishing. So very sweet that my boys are self-regulating without having to have a controlling mother telling them what to do. Yeah, so this whole issue of command control, you know, it is kind of endemic, isn't it, in our society, this idea that there are authorities telling us what to do, and that we have a right to tell others what to do. And I mean, in truth, what is really needed is a respect for other people's rights. And you know, if you lived in a house and someone bought the house next to you, even if you didn't like them, you wouldn't dream of violating their property, vandalizing their property, stealing from them, conducting a hate campaign against them. It just wouldn't occur to you. And if they were really doing anything that you felt was unlawful, you'd probably call the police or involve the authorities, and the authorities would then make their decisions, and that person would have the right, it would be part of their right, because you are innocent until proven guilty, to put your case, and to be innocent until proven guilty. So you know, if you are believed, if the authorities believe you to have committed some kind of crime, then in common law, we are all innocent until proven guilty. So provide the evidence, take it to a trial, and I would always ask for a trial by jury, and prove that person to be guilty of a crime. It's quite simple, really, because those are our rights, those are our common law rights. And so, oh look, here we go, another step, another one bites the dust. Yeah, so it's actually quite sad, all of this vandalism, all of this theft, all of this hatred. It is true, at the heart of our community there are 3 women who are doing an awful lot of very high vibrational work, in the form of, every morning we gather online with Lucidia and Raphael, and we chant mantras, and it's just the most amazing practice. We've been doing it now for 2 months, probably 2 months, so pretty much the whole of November and the whole of December, and it's quite incredible, because what happens when you chant in the morning, you so kind of wake up, you have a cup of tea, have some toast or whatever, and then spend 40 minutes chanting. And we've been invoking Durga and Kali and Shiva and Krishna and Ganesh and Lakshmi and Amitabha, Buddha and Manjushri, who holds the flaming sword, cutting through the illusion. So we do, and Durga, did I mention Durga? And Jai Ma, which is the Divine Mother, and White Tara, not forgetting White Tara. Who else? Well, you name it, we've been invoking it. And you know, people have been trying to put a label on me in terms of you know, it's even been said that we're some kind of dangerous religious cult. Like, would you believe it? How insane. Because I am very interfaith. I'm very open to all belief systems, respecting all belief systems. They're just all different paths up the mountain. Look at all this water, it's flooded. You see, it's flooded the footpath. The brook has overflowed through. But yeah, every different faith, every culture has a slightly different angle and belief system, but they're all paths up the same mountain to connect to source, to connect to the power that lies beyond the veil. So trying to put people into some kind of religious category. Oh, hold on, dog's barking. That means Kobe's getting into mischief up ahead. Hold on, I'm gonna have to pause. Hold on. Oh, disaster averted. Kobe's sniffing another dog's bum. The violation of its dog rights there. Anyway, we've managed to get him away. We continue. So where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yes, about religions. Because I mean, I'd say I'm much more about spirituality, really, about connecting with the higher power in all the ways that is done, and respecting all of those ways. I think it's very beautiful to honour all of the traditions of all of the people. And of course, shamanism, I've done a lot of work with the shamans in Peru, is really just about tuning into the land. And it's kind of close to Gnosticism, really, because Gnosticism is a respect for the divine feminine, Gaia, Sophia. And so Mother Earth, essentially Mother Earth, which is like Pachamama, which is very shamanic, because Mother Earth is the giver of all life, along with Father Sky, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, Mother Earth. So they are the four key you know, holders of this 3D realm that give us all life. So honouring the elements is really key in shamanism. Kobe! Where he's gone now? Probably gone down to the brook to have a little drink after all of his dog-on-dog excitement. So, yes. The other thing that I meant to say, the other like amazing revelation reveal about the whole of this Cressbrook scenario is, of course, as I've said many times, I'll repeat it again, that this is a micro of the macro. This is a microcosm of the macrocosm. And it's very interesting. Kobe! Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, a microcosm of the macrocosm, because of course, what is happening here, it's so obvious. We, having arrived here, the kind of rich industrialist archetype of Dragon Rachel, is very much an echo of the Richard Arkwright, rich industrialist who arrived here back in 1779 to build his mill. And of course the people would have organised into an uprising back then and tried to stop the building of the mill, the destruction of the forest, to build all of these mill workers' houses. There would have been an uprising. There would have been, right? So this is a mirror of that energy. But of course, I'm part of a much bigger movement, which is opposing the uprising of the World Economic Forum. So it's identical energy. And it's people power. It's people power. People coming together and standing up and saying we do not consent, and opposing the the global dark satanic mill, which is going to be imposed upon us. That's what's coming. So what's happening here in Cressbrook is a microcosm of the macrocosm. So we have ignited people power, and it's great. Actually, I mean, I'm at the brunt of it. I'm the Klaus Schwab of this situation. So I'm the focus of a lot of hatred, in the same way that I guess a lot of focus of hatred is being put on characters like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and all of the other leaders of the Satanic World Economic Forum. The interesting thing, of course, the Cressbrook locals are worried about the damage to the wildlife and the butterflies and the ecology of Cressbrook Dale. But of course, as a wider group, the freedom movement is worried about the damage to our children and humanity and what is going to happen on the planet, where the Dark Cabal have decided that there's going to be 15-minute cities, which basically means that you will not be allowed to leave your 15-minute zone more than 100 times a year. That's what they're proposing in Oxford. And of course, it's all going to be controlled through digital technology, number plate recognition. So if you leave your zone more than 100 times a year in your car, then you will receive a fine. So my question is, what gives the authorities the right to tell you where you can and cannot go? Now, of course, you might say, well, what about borders? So I think the thing about borders and countries is that in terms of common law rights, I'm speaking about here, say England, for example. So if you are English and you are a citizen of the country of England, that is essentially your land, and that land may well be divided up into private ownership, which obviously we all respect. So this, for example, is a public highway and a public footpath, and so technically I jointly own this with the people. I have rights as one of the people of England to walk this land, and anyone who is a guest in England who is authorised, permitted to come in here into this country has the right to enjoy, you know, the public footpaths too. But should a country decide that it wishes not to consent, I guess, to, like in our land, you know, that we own here, you know, we could consent to some friends coming to visit, for example, but we could equally withdraw that consent and say, actually, we would prefer you not to come here, because that is your right if you own property, and most people respect property rights. And so, of course, there are certain bits of this land which are public footpaths and countryside right-of-way areas, which is basically, I'd say, maybe about 6 acres of the 73 acres. And we have not prevented anyone from exercising those rights whatsoever since we acquired this land. So we've honoured the rights of the people, and yet our rights have not been honoured. Our rights of quiet enjoyment, to enjoy the land, certainly my personal rights have not been honoured, because I'm now subject to hate crime. So we're in an interesting situation of really asserting our rights. So, and this comes down to kind of boundaries, doesn't it? It's if someone is violating your rights, then, you know, and particularly if there's willful intent, which is, it now is, this is now criminal. This is a personal attack on me. So this is now a hate crime. It's personal, there's evidence. And yeah, so I do have the rights to say no. I do not consent. I will not tolerate this. And, you know, it's clear that these parties have no intention of ceasing and desisting. So in that situation, then we will have to involve the authorities to place our own little stop order on things. And of course, everyone has the right to a fair trial. So those accused are innocent until proven guilty, in the same way that we are innocent of all alleged misdemeanors to do with things like planning, because as far as we're concerned, we're innocent. So until we're proven guilty, we are innocent. So it's a very interesting extrapolation of common law rights, individual rights, and saying no. So this is my message to you, members of the Cressbrook community, because we're all members of the Cressbrook community. We are members of the Cressbrook community. You may not have accepted us, but we do own land in the area in the same way that whoever buys property in the area technically is a part of the community, whether you accept them or not. And if you decide that you are going to declare war on us and take the law into your own hands, and particularly if you're deciding to target me personally as part of this campaign of hatred, this is demonic and it's satanic. It's a hate campaign, and you may well try and justify it all you like, but you are committing a crime, hate crimes, and I will have no hesitation in pressing those charges, because it's gone too far. It's gone too far now, people. And we now have evidence of who is behind it, the haters who are behind it, who are the culprits behind it. So you will be prosecuted. You will be prosecuted.
Share more love, be more deeply aligned and connected with your light. Krishna, thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Like a baby. It's like a baby.
Do you towel down, buddy?
Oh yeah, he likes that. It's just like a baby.